referee, I would DQ that swimmer that moved their head. In this league, while we're on it, in this league, each swimmer is allocated 2 false starts. Any other league, you get a false start, you're disqualified. Here, if the swimmer false starts, bring him back up, bring the field back up if you have to, and then restart him. If he false starts again, he's DQ'd.
What are the rules about the 8 and unders if they hang on the lane line?
We'll get to those by stroke. The question was, what happens about the 8 and unders if they hang on the ropes? Okay, let's use the backstroke. Swimmer starts down there, gets about halfway, and realizes this is hard work for one popsicle. I want 2, and now they're going to hang on the ropes and negotiate with their parents. I need 2, and the parents said, "Come on, come on, you do it." If they're hanging on the ropes and go vertical, is that legal? Illegal body position. Have to stay on their back.
But in freestyle, it's okay?
Freestyle, it's okay. Remember, any stroke, any body position, any kick.
What about like Rondale pulling on it or something? Or
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're in the freestyle and they're pulling themselves on the rope, your hand goes up. But in backstroke, if they're trying to negotiate, now I'm going to tell you right now, these 8 and unders and 9 and unders, they're going to get into some contortion out there where they got a foot up on the rope, and you're going to be going, is he vertical? What's he doing? He's all contorted out there. As long as he's on his back, he is still legal. You go in, and this is where the queso rule comes into effect. It comes in on the turn. Once the head, and these backstroke flags here, they're not out there for decoration or a used car. They're out there, the swimmers are using those to count their strokes to come in for the turn. Now, about 1990-91 is when everybody changed the rule book that in high school, once the head, and you're looking at the head, once the head goes under, crosses under those backstroke flags, they can turn over on their stomach. They can kick as many times as they want, but they're only allowed 1 double arm pull or 1 single arm pull, and then they can do a flip turn, just like in freestyle. Prior to the feet leaving the wall, they have to be at the vertical or past the vertical towards their back. If they come off and their chest is facing the bottom of the pool, your hand goes up. Again, after they make that turn, they can kick 15 meters or 16.4 yards underwater. Some part of the body must touch the finish end of the pool. We'll give them to the 90. The bigger kids will just come in and touch. If they come in and roll over, your hand goes up. And I will tell you now that your neighbor or your best friend's daughter is going to be winning by a half a length. And you're going to turn around, she's coming in for the finish, you go over, she is just doing great. And what you didn't see is she rolled over on her stomach and touched. Now, everybody within a 5-mile area saw that illegal violation. Hopefully, the referee saw it and he or she will make the call. But again, what we're looking for on the start with the backstroke, kick, body position, stroke, the turn is very critical, and the finish, they have to touch on their back. And with the little ones, you didn't raise stupid kids. At practice, they have a couple knots on the top of their head, and they realize, I see those backstroke flags, that means the wall is coming. And they're going to turn over and grab that wall before they hit it. And so the little kids, you have to really watch that finish. Question?
Can you do alternating pulls?
Question on the turn, can they do alternating pulls? That would be roll over, do this, and do this. No. 1 double or 1. Now, what you'll do is they'll cross over, do that, and take the stroke. Legal. The other thing.
Did you say legal or illegal?
Legal.
Legal.
That's because they're crossing over. Now, what you'll see with the little kids, They'll turn at the backstroke flag, and it'll take them 30 seconds to kick into the wall. They'll grab the wall and just push off. That is legal. There's always confusion. Once they roll over, they have to do that flip turn. They roll over, they come in, grab the wall, bring their feet up, and push off. Okay?
As long as they don't take a stroke, that's legal.
Pardon me?
As long as they don't take a stroke, that's legal.
Well, they can take the one double or the one, yeah. But what we're looking for is they can't cross over and do that. So that's why the backstroke turn is the most critical aspect of this. So if you're at the turn wall, you have to be in position. And I'd rather have you standing over the lanes than out there walking up and down. So I would instruct you, I want everybody standing over your assigned lanes and the people at the finish line watching them come in for the touch. Okay, we'll go on to the breaststroke. And again, if you have a cat or a dog and you're new, go feed them.
On the backstroke, when they're coming in onto the flags and they turn over, what if you did a breaststroke kick?
Any stroke, any kick. Or I mean, yeah, any. The question is, what happens if they come in and they roll over on their back and do a breaststroke kick? Any stroke, any kick. All we're looking for is them to be on their back, and prior to the feet leaving the wall, they're at the vertical or past the vertical to their back. They don't go, their head must come up after 15 meters, and they have to touch on their back for the finish. The breaststroke, personal.
Got one more back there.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
When the kids are turning around to look for the wall, how much rotation are you allowed to give them?
Good question. The question is, when the kids come under the backstroke flags and they know the wall's coming up and they're looking, how much do we give them? We'll give them to the vertical. They can go vertical to look, but if you watch those shoulders, if they come over, then your hand goes up. Good question, thank you. Okay, breaststroke, great stroke. Forward start, they dive in, they extend, they're allowed one double arm pull past the hips. A lot of coaches refer to that as a canoe pull. They'll go out and they'll pull. Then they recover, and then they start their second pull. They can't go past their hips again. If they keep doing this, going down the pull, your hand has to go up. And I don't care if they're 6 or 18, your hand goes up. Now, where there's a lot of activity going on here with the breaststroke. You dive in, you take that one double arm pull, you recover. The head must break the surface before those hands break at their second outermost movement. Little kids, they'll come in, do this, we'll give them to their hips. But your more experienced swimmers will dive in and they'll start pulling. And what they're actually going to do is put their hands together. It looks like they're spitting. And what they're doing is making a trough that they're going to create and fall through. So the head must break the surface when those hands start their inward motion at the widest point of that second arm pull. Everything in breaststroke is done on a horizontal basis. The hands are thrust forward simultaneously, under the water, out of the water. You won't see it, we don't have to discuss it, but the elbows cannot come out. When you get to the Olympics or NCAAs, they have so much power, they come out, and it's called a double entry, where the elbows come out of the water. You don't have to worry about that in this league, trust me. But everything pushed forward simultaneously, pulled back simultaneously. The feet are brought forward simultaneously, bending at the knees, and then they are thrust out together and thrust in. We're looking for propulsion from the bottom of the feet or the inside of the leg. Any propulsion from the top of the foot would have to indicate a scissor kick of some sort. And with this stroke, you could get them doing this legally, but the aft end is all scissor kicks, which is a violation. The feet, what you look for, the feet have to be pointed out. The toes can't be pointed in for this stroke to be legal. Again, we're looking for propulsion from the bottom of the foot when those feet come together. If you look at Olympic swimmers, the world champions, they're double jointed. Those knees come out 90 degrees. So when they come together, they're getting all the movement. It's fantastic to watch Olympic swimmers or NCAA in this event, how they can contort their bodies, but they've been swimming for a number of years. So we got the start, we got the kick. It's called an arm stroke cycle. First you have the arm pull, and then you have a kick. Sometime during that cycle, the head must break the surface of the water. They can't stay underwater and swim 2 strokes. Your hand goes up. The head must break the surface. The question is, do they have to come up for a breath? No. The head, air must be on the head. Thank you, good question. On the start and on coming off the wall on the turn, after their stroke, they're allowed 1 dolphin kick. Now, if you remember 2 Olympics ago, there was a Japanese swimmer that he won a gold medal because he came off the wall and did a flagrant dolphin kick. And the Soviet bloc countries didn't want us to win, so they said that was legal. And so all of a sudden now everybody changed their rule book to say now the dolphin kick. Up until 2 years ago, you could only do a dolphin kick down. You couldn't come up. And there you were looking for bubbles. Now you can have a full dolphin kick, 1 time, that has to be followed by a breaststroke kick, and your more proficient swimmers will be able to execute the stroke. Coming in for the turn. Again, everything is on a horizontal plane. The shoulders should be on a horizontal plane to the water. Now, that's even when they're underwater. What we don't want is see a swimmer going down the pool like this. The shoulders have to be on a horizontal plane. Coming in for the turn, they come in, they spear it. They have to have a simultaneous 2-hand touch. They can't go like that because I can see my opponent here. If I'm swimming the breaststroke and I'm thinking, oh, I've got to have a good turn, he's right with me, and I come in and I touch the wall like that, have I gained an unfair advantage? Yeah, he's touching and I'm already turning. So it must be a simultaneous 2-hand touch. Under the water, on the surface of the water, we don't care. You have to be in position to see a simultaneous 2-hand touch. After they make that touch, they can turn in any manner they so desire. But what they're going to do is either pull one elbow or pull the other elbow to come around. About 15 years ago at the State Girls Championship, a very prominent team here in the southeast area was winning by almost a half a length. And the breaststroker came in, touched, came off the wall, and pulled her stroke when she was at about a 45. Fisher was right over the lane, DQ'd her. They were DQ'd and did not win the state championship. So again, you have to be in position to make that call. They come off the wall. Prior to the feet leaving the wall, they have to be at the vertical, or in this case, past the vertical towards the stomach. Just the opposite of the backstroke. Then they have to assume the legal body position, and then they take that 1 double arm pull past the hips. They can then do their dolphin kick, and then they swim to the finish. Coming in for the finish, it's just like the turn. They come in and make my final arm pull, simultaneous 2-hand touch under the water on the surface of the water. Can you make that call from the backstroke flags? You have to be at the end of the pool to make that call. Question is shoulders level. They are permitted to drop their hands, but the shoulders will remain level. They don't, the hands are not the focal point here. It's the shoulders. But a good question.
Suppose the swimmer on the start does 1 pull immediately, and then uses his hands to pull his head above the surface. So a partial stroke before the head breaks the surface.
Yeah.
Just can't complete it.
Right. Well, the question is, and don't get bogged down on this because This is a real technical call, and that's that second arm pull. Remember, they're allowed the first arm pull pass. They recover at the widest point of that second arm pull, and when the hands start in, that's when the head has to break the surface. And so, again, we're not here qualifying for the Olympic trials or anything. I'd be more concerned, I would rather have you watching the feet and a few other things and be loose on that call, strictly because it's so technical. But that's a very good question. Okay? No, keep asking.
When you say you can't make the call from the flags, are you saying it's better to make the call from the end?
By all means.
See it from the flags, you can still
Oh, yeah, we still call it, yeah. But again, most of the activity on the breaststroke, and as you'll see on the fly, is in the aft end. So let the swimmers go by you and watch them from behind, and then watch them touch. And if at all possible for the turns, especially for the lead swimmers, really get down here, watch that turn. Because I wasn't coached to cheat, but it's just automatic. If he and I are swimming together and I come in and I do a touch like this, and we have electric pads and nobody sees it, have I gained an unfair advantage over that swimmer? Look at my hands. He's touching simultaneous and I'm doing one of these. And I'm a foot underwater. I'm not touching on the surface, I'm touching under. And so that's why it's critical that you be in position to watch those finished touches. Question comes up every year. Swimmer's coming down. He takes his last stroke. He's coming into the wall. He kicks or he doesn't kick. He just comes into the wall. That's legal. He just ran out of pool. You couldn't ask him to take another kick. Now, if his head bobs up, if they take another kick and another stroke and he's underwater, your hand goes up. But when they're coming in and he spears, he doesn't have to have a kick. He's just going to glide into the wall. Okay? Let's move right along here. We'll go into the butterfly. Up until post-World War II, well, it was post-World War II, they started doing the fly along with the breaststroke. You could do either one. Well, needless to say, the swimmers doing the butterfly had advantage over the swimmers doing the breast. So then they made it two separate events. Unlike the breaststroke, everything moves on a vertical plane. Breaststroke, everything was on a horizontal. Butterfly is everything on a vertical plane. It's a forward start. They come off the wall. They can kick underwater how far? 15 meters or 16.4 yards. That comes into account for the freestyle, the backstroke, and the fly. They can't do it on the breaststroke. So they can kick underwater that 15 meters or 16.4 yards. When they take that first arm pull, it must bring them to the surface. They can't take an arm pull underwater and stay under there and continue to kick. That arm pull must bring them to the surface. Their feet can be interlocked, they can be shoulder width, or they can be alternating, a high-low kicker. And I'm going to say the high-low kicker, I don't want you to just scrutinize that swimmer and not do the others, but eventually, especially with the younger kids, and I can take and show you high school kids and Olympic swimmers that will kick as many yards as you want to go, and those feet will not change. But when you get to the inexperienced swimmer, about every 4 or 5 strokes, you'll get one of these. And then you get one of these. And that's the flutter kick. And when you tell them they're doing a flutter kick, they'll say, no, I'm not. They don't know they're doing it. It's just subconscious. They just will switch. So if you see that flutter kick, your hand goes up. Again, going in for the turn, they could come in, take that final arm pull, kick as many times as we want. They can kick once, they can kick 6 times. The bigger kids, when they get that backstroke flags, they're going to start streamlining. They're coming in, and they're just going to dolphin kick all the way in. They must make, just like in breaststroke, a simultaneous 2-hand touch. under the water, on the surface of the water. Little kids will come back and they'll pound it. And I love it because when they're doing that, 4 other kids have already turned and gone. So prior to the feet leaving the wall, just like in breaststroke, at the vertical, past the vertical towards the chest, same thing with the breaststroke, have to have assumed a legal body position before they take that arm pull. And you'll see kids coming off at a 45, pulling and rotating. If you see that, that's a violation. Then they can kick underwater that 15 meters or 16.4 yards. Coming in for the finish, simultaneous 2-hand touch. Again, again with the breaststroke and the fly,